Happy Monday, everybody. Welcome to Mondays with Meg. We're not really all about fabulous latte art here at Mondays with Meg, but I promise you will get some great practical ways to walk out your week with intent. And this week, I am so honored to share with you that I have my best friend, Amy Kuntz, on with us this morning. Say hello, Amy.
Hi, everybody. Good morning. Excited to
be good. Thank you. So not only is Amy my best friend, but she's also a designer and foster mom here in St. Louis. She actually manages community engagement for a live magazine in Guided St. Louis. And if you're on Instagram, if you're not already following her, she's Oh Hey Aim. And you need to follow her right now because she has the most gorgeous Insta feed on the planet. So it's okay if you want to like go do that while you're watching or listening to us. Totally fine.
Totally fine.
Pretty good. Yeah.
Yes.
And we tend to, have a lot of fun in those Insta stories on there too.
Yeah.
But so anyway, thank you, Amy, for taking time out of your morning.
Absolutely.
To have this conversation with us. And friends, at any point, please chime in to our conversation. Feel free to ask whatever questions you might have, anything about friendship or best friendship, and we're just gonna have a conversation. So I hope you have your coffee and you're ready to go. So Amy, I thought it would be great if we could start off this morning by just sharing how we met. Do you want to start? Should I start? What do you want to do?
Either way, it doesn't matter.
Go ahead. Why don't you start?
Okay, sure. So actually I was trying to remember if we'd been friends for 2 years now or 3. So we met in 2016. So we haven't been friends very long, but it feels like a lifetime at the same time because it's so wonderful. So we met a few years ago. I was actually in kind of a difficult season of my life and really just struggling. And so I met with the pastor at my church because I just really needed some guidance about how to make better decisions and move past just grief and guilt and things that I was really feeling. And so in that conversation, he said to me, "You need to meet Megan." And I mean, I'm like, okay, Meg, who's Megan? Sure, okay. And so he, right there in the meeting, sent an email to Megan and said, "Hey, you need to meet Amy." So you responded right away. And we met for lunch. And that's kind of where it all began.
Yeah. So I found the email.
You did? Yeah. Fun.
So the email was sent April 28th, 2016.
Okay.
And it's pretty funny. So Noah said, I just met with this gal, and she's amazing. And in the middle of the conversation, I told her that she needed to meet you. I feel like you guys would be instant friends. Amy is a certain age. Super hip, amazing at Instagram, but taking a break right now.
That's a true friend right there.
Right.
True friend moment, everyone.
Right. Working an accounting job and lives in a certain neighborhood here. Amy, Megan is the life coach / ninja I was telling you about, with amazing purple hair and the ability to encourage you in every conversation. Anywho, wanted to make the introduction and let you guys take it from here.
I love it.
So,
I needed a ninja.
Apparently, I'm a ninja. So, that's fine.
And you do have awesome purple hair.
Well, I'm glad it's still purple, or it might be awkward.
Yeah, it was really easy to find you in the restaurant.
Oh my gosh, for sure. And so anyway, so from the email, so that was April 28th. We ended up having our first blind date on, I think it's May 10th. So I don't know about you, Amy, but I see a couple super interesting things in here. Number one, he didn't have to connect us.
Right.
Like, I mean, I've never had that happen before, personally.
Nope, me either.
But then I also could have been like, you know, like, I have friends, it's fine, you know, whatever. And you were going through your own thing, and you could have been like, you know, I don't have any purple hair friends. I don't know. That's weird. I mean, you know, or we could have done what everybody always does, which is like, oh yeah, let's do coffee sometime, and like nothing, right?
Yeah.
But we didn't. We met for lunch that day, and I was thinking about that day, and I kind of wanted your thoughts on it. I was thinking about it, and it really did kind of feel like a first date. You know, like, I don't know if it did for you, but I feel like as women, we do that. Like, we have friendships so deeply that, you know, especially if you're someone, I think, that values authenticity and things like that in friendship. I mean, I don't know about you, but I like knowing kind of if that's the kind of friend we're going to be. Right. You know, like right off the bat, like, I mean, I'm pretty direct, but like, I felt like that was the kind of friendship we were going to have. So I remember we went pretty deep in that first meeting together.
Right. Well, and I remember going into it thinking, is this going to be like, I've never had a life coach. Is this going to be like a therapy session or what? You know, I didn't know what was going to happen. And, but I remember for both of us just going pretty deep. I mean, I was sharing about my life. You were telling me about your own life experiences. And I mean, very quickly we discovered that we had a lot of things in common.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, definitely. Well, so then, you know, a couple months later, after we've gone deep and gotten to know each other, I'm like, hey, I'm moving to Arizona. No big deal.
Okay, great. I remember being very unhappy about that.
Yeah. Yeah, that was like this. I think I told you as we were celebrating your birthday too, which was kind of fun, right?
Yeah, good timing. Yeah.
You guys, is that like what not to do as a best friend, I think? Would that be?
Could have waited till the day after. Yeah, but no, I mean, that's the kind of friendship we have. Like, it's just, we're very real and upfront, and we don't really, you know, mask things. So
yeah,
what was happening in the moment. So,
I mean, I don't know about you, but like, so I've moved a lot, you know, in my life. And I mean, some friendships are just meant for, you know, where you are in person, close proximity or whatever. What do you kind of attribute us, you know, staying friends and everything, even through being like half a country apart for a year and a half?
Well, I think because of the way that we met and the way that our friendship became deep so quickly and just continued to grow, at, I think, of a pretty quick rate because of the way it began. I remember thinking, like, there's no way that you moving is going to change, like, the fact that I want you to be a part of my life, and for that to be you know, an ongoing and consistent thing. And I remember, you know, you're really great at being intentional, and I feel like I've become better at being intentional as, you know, as I've been your friend. And so you would send me a handwritten note, which those are awesome because those don't really come around very much.
And so you're
like, oh yeah, let's bring this back. And so then I would send one back to you, and then, you know, and a month later or 2 months later, I would get a package in the mail with gifts, and we both love gifts. And so there was just kind of a sprinkling of intentionality during that entire time that you were gone. And it wasn't like, oh, we'd spend hours talking on the phone, and, you know, weeks would go by, we'd text here and there. But we never really, you know, lost touch.
Yeah. Well, and I was thinking about it too, and I was remembering like, yeah, it was never like, oh, that Amy, she doesn't call me, or, like those things never happen. But what did happen was, I know anytime I would text you and just be like, hey, this kind of big thing is happening, you literally would like call me right then. You wouldn't send a text, like you would actually call, and be like, hey, are you okay? Or whatever. And it wasn't like, we didn't get caught up in the stuff of like, well, you never call me, or, any of those kind of things. Like, it was just like realizing we both had life happening, on our own and whatever. But like, hey, if you need me, I'm here. Or if you just, we did get caught up with each other every once in a while, over the phone or FaceTime or whatever.
Yeah.
For sure. And, that also kind of made me think about, when I was in Arizona, I was kind of frustrated about not being able to make very deep connections there. And I was thinking about how I ended up meeting a woman in Arizona who I thought was going to be kind of like my person in Arizona, but then she really wasn't, but was really cool. What was really cool about it was she ended up introducing me to my person that was my person in Arizona. And it made me think back to how we met. And so I feel like there's like something to that, and like being open to that, being open to, people, connecting people to friendships. And I don't know, has that happened to you at other points in your life?
I definitely have had friends who had friends, and we kind of ended up in the same place and became friends that way. But I don't know that I've ever had just like an intentional like friend setup like you and I. But it's interesting. I don't think about it that much, but it makes sense that, we know people, and so knowing what people need and kind of helping to connect people in that way, it makes sense that we should be thinking about that and doing that for each other.
Yeah, I think it's a kind of neat, just to even know, like, if you're not that person, but maybe somebody who might be, and like, being open to that.
Yeah.
Okay, so then, I let you know, hey, I'm moving back to St. Louis. Woo. Yeah, that was great. And
now you're never moving again.
Yeah, no, never moving again, guys. In case you didn't know, never moving again. But I feel like, once we got back here, I feel like really like our friendship has just even gotten better and stronger since being back here in St. Louis. So, and I was thinking about that, and I was thinking about, when, I get messages from people all the time about like, I struggle with making friends. It's been, years since I've had a best friend. And I just don't even know where to start with this. Is anyone with me on that that's on here this morning? Give me some hearts or something. Let me know. Because I get messages from you guys all the time asking me about this. So I thought it would be kind of fun and interesting for Amy and I to talk about a little bit, some ideas about how to find and be a best friend to someone else. So the first thing I was thinking about is like, before you can even begin to start that process, I feel like you really need to know what you're looking for in a friend, especially in a best friend, or maybe even just what you need more of in your life. Because I was thinking like, so let's say I'm an introvert and I need someone to help me kind of get out of the house, get out of my shell, these kind of things. If I'm looking for a introvert of another best friend, that's probably not going to happen.
Right. No, more than likely not.
Yeah. So I think there's something to intentionally taking a minute and really thinking about what you actually need in a best friend in your life. And maybe if the one you currently have, if that's not really working, being okay to kind of, explore what that could look like for you to have that type of a fulfilling relationship, maybe even outside of that person, because maybe that person was meant for a season, but not really right now. What are your thoughts about that, Amy?
Well, I think this is such a huge point. So if you think about other big decisions we make in our lives, like dating, to find a spouse, buying a house, buying a car. I mean, we do research. We think about what it is that we like and don't like, what we need, what we want. Do we want granite? Do we want stainless? Do we want to live in the city? Do we want to live in the suburb? We put a lot of thought and Google searches and what's the crime rate? We put a lot of thought into big decisions like that. And I think that deciding who we're gonna let into our circle and be close to us and who we want to be friends to, I mean, that's really important. And so taking the time to sit down and say, here's what I value, here's what I need, here's what I have to offer to someone else. I mean, we should be doing that.
For sure.
And I can't say that I've spent a lot of time in my life over the years, being really intentional about thinking through those things. We kind of let life happen, right? And we rub elbows with people in different environments, and that's fine. I mean, that's kind of the natural rhythm of life also, but I don't know. I just, even preparing to talk with you today, just thought, what do I value in friendship? Do I know? I mean, I do, but I don't think I've ever really written it down. So I did. I wrote down some of the things that I value. I value laughter and I value adventure. And that doesn't mean that we have to travel all over the world. We can explore in our own backyard together. And I value depth, and I want to be deep. I want to go deep with you. I really value a sense of feeling known.
Yes.
And being able to be vulnerable and be real. Some days are great and some days aren't. And so being able to share that. And then I was just also thinking about how I really value a mutual contribution. And what I mean by that is we all have different gifts and personalities and things that we can offer one another. And so I want to, every day that I am friends with you, I'm constantly learning and growing and being challenged and expanding my creative mind and all of these things. And you make a huge contribution in my life, and I hope and want to do the same, and so anyway, it was fun to write those things down. And if you are
that just made my day,
do it, because it was fun to put that on paper.
I love that. And it's so easy at that point to see, do I have that? Or, where do I even start? Do I already know people that are this, that I haven't been looking at them that way? And maybe I need to nurture those relationships and those friendships. Thanks for sharing that, Amy. That was awesome. That's such a good point. And so Janet has a question for us. And Janet is a friend of mine from Tennessee. I'm going to go ahead and put your question up there, Janet. She said she's finding it hard to make a girlfriend connection here in Tennessee, someone to go out with as girls' night. I'm involved in church ministry, small groups. Most of my friends are married, and it seems like we don't do separate girl events back in our hometown. Any suggestions to create more girl bonding? Sometimes I feel like my theme song is Alone Again Naturally. Yes, Janet, I so get that. Oh my gosh. Especially as, someone married, I think it's fun to have time, with friends together with my husband, but then I have to have that separate time too, because it's totally different. But Amy, what kind of ideas do you have for Janet about that?
Man, that's a good question, and that's a hard situation to be in. I've definitely been there myself. I think it's easy to look at our life circumstance and sometimes look around and see like, oh, all these people around me, they're in a different life circumstance.
Yeah.
That must just then equate to us not being able to be friends or connect because, oh, I'm not married, I don't have kids, and so it's easy. I think we can isolate ourselves a little bit when we decide like, oh, we don't fit together because our lives are too different. And sometimes that's true. I mean, the rhythms of life are different, but I just think that, first of all, trying to like break down the barrier of that kind of mindset is that you don't belong with those people. I mean, that's kind of where it had to start for me. And then just kind of finding ways to set aside time, like you're saying, Megan, but I think also like it's good for all of us in our seasons and stages of life to have people who aren't in our seasons and stages of life.
Yeah,
and to invite
absolutely.
Into where we are. Right. And so I love hanging out with my married friends and my married friends who have kids who've become like my nieces and nephews. And so I think it's both like trying to be intentional to pursue, because it's also very easy to want to be pursued. And so I'm sitting here and I'm waiting for somebody to be my friend. And maybe everybody else is too, and none of us get anywhere. And so the person who just decides like, I'm gonna, hey, are you free? Do you want to get coffee? Oh, you're busy with your kids. Great. Like, let's go to a park, just, and not everybody's going to respond, positively or say yes to your invitation. Yeah. So not taking that personally and asking someone else until you find somebody who says yes, and you just kind of go from there. You hang out and see how it goes. So anyway, that's kind of a lot of thoughts. Hopefully that made sense.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I couldn't agree with you more as, someone who kind of doesn't fit into a lot of life stages, because I'm kind of like a weird 42-year-old with adult kids with purple hair, whatever, like, a lot of times people with young kids aren't sure what to do with me, but then people who are like empty nesters kind of don't either. And, I've kind of dealt with that my whole adult life, having, once I got kids. And I think what you said is dead on with actually making the space for it, number one. And then number two, not having a preset idea of what these friends are going to look like. Like really being open to them maybe being in a different life stage, maybe them, even kind of hanging out in different circles than you normally do.
Right.
I think it's beautiful when that happens, and much more interesting sometimes in life. But also I love the idea too of really when you do think of someone that you want to kind of go further with and take the friendship further and get to know them better and more authentically and all these things, asking them what they want to do, like asking them how they want to hang out or whatever, because sometimes we get so like wrapped up in the normal ways that we connect with people, we don't think that someone else might not want to hang out that way. Does that make sense? Am I being too general? I don't know.
Honestly, like that's such a good word, because I don't do that enough. It's so easy to get wrapped up in our own worlds and what we have going on and what works for us, because we're all really busy. We all have a lot going on, and so I love that idea to ask the other person what they need. I mean, that's that's like the foundation of a good friend right there.
Yeah. I don't know. It happened to me a lot in Arizona. And so I think I'm kind of sensitive to it. I mean, can I be that real? I don't know.
Yeah, of course.
Oh, we lost Amy. Uh-oh, I hope she comes back on. But where, people that were trying to be friends with me kept wanting me to fit into like what they wanted to do as their friend time that they like to have. And I would say what I enjoyed doing, and people really weren't as interested in wanting to do that. So that was rough. But anyway, Janet, I hope that was helpful to you. Anyway, hopefully Amy's able to connect back with us. See if I hear from her for a second. She should be able to come back on. Anyway, so the next thing, I was going to say, and actually this is a really good segue to that. Welcome back, Amy.
Thanks. I don't know where I went. Internet. The internet cannot be trusted.
Right? It's fine. But the next thing, I think it was a good segue, though, to be talking about our next thing, where once you know of what you're looking for in a friend and what you need in a best friend, really making sure that you're hanging out in the places where you can actually find those people. You need to make yourself available in that sphere, group, whatever. So that's just something to think about. And the next thing, like Amy was saying, really taking initiative and not waiting for people to approach you. Even if you're frustrated that you feel like you're always the one to do that, keep doing it. We're living in this day and age where we're all just struggling with insecurities and different things and fear of rejection and all this stuff. Please let yourself continue to get out there and really keep asking, because maybe it's just that the people that you're asking, maybe they're in a season where they can't hang out at the times that you can, or whatever. So just keep going and you'll find your people. I promise. It will happen. We had mentioned this earlier too, with really spending time talking to other safe friends about what you're looking for in a best friend and seeing if they know somebody. Like we found that kind of worked for us in our specific friendship, and it's actually worked for me in several points in my life. My Tennessee bestie, our kids actually introduced us, which is kind of fun. They went to a dance together, and we've been friends ever since. So that's pretty fun. Another thing is actually putting effort into maintaining this best friendship. And like we were talking about earlier, Amy, how even when we were half a country apart, we still were extremely intentional about making each other know that we care and that we see each other and value each other and those kind of things. But I feel like the more that, like you were saying, with knowing what you value in a friend, the more you even can put effort into maintaining those things, because you're so clear on what it is that you need, you want, the connection that you want to have. Otherwise, I feel like you might even be putting effort into maintaining friendships that might not even be the ones that you should be necessarily maintaining.
Yep.
And that's rough.
Yeah.
That's rough. So we have another question here. Sarah asked, or actually it's not really a question, but I think it's important what she mentioned. She says she has a disabled child and has to be so careful not to isolate herself. It is so easy to talk ourselves into hiding away. What thoughts do you have about that, Amy?
Well, I mean, Sarah, I think it's awesome that you recognize that it's easy to isolate, but not beneficial. It's a good start.
Right.
And you know, the way that you take care of your family best is by also taking time to take care of yourself.
Yes.
And so whether that is, you know, inviting people into your home because that's where you need to be, or asking for help, finding a support system that would allow you to get out and go and do stuff and be with people. I think that, yeah, it is easy to hide away. I know for myself, like, I mean, I am an introvert who loves people. And so I know that's weird. I always say like I'm introverted with like extrovert tendencies. I mean, I love being at home and I love not being at home. It's confusing. But if I have a lot going on, or I'm stressed, or I had a newborn foster baby who was 4 days old and 5 pounds in January.
In December or January, in winter.
Yeah. And so that I spent a lot of time at home during that time, which was necessary, but also after a little while, I'm like, oh, I'm gonna go crazy, And so figuring out, asking somebody to come watch the baby, or inviting my friends to just come over and be with me, and things like that. So you just have to constantly be assessing, like checking in with yourself. Right. How am I doing, and what do I need today? Those are my thoughts.
That is so good. Excuse me. Sorry, I've been trying not to do that. But I think what you said is so true about, even when you want to give into those feelings, knowing that your people need you not to. Yeah. These people that are depending on you, because if mama ain't happy, nobody's happy. So the more that you are getting what you need, even if it's hard and uncomfortable and not easy and all of that, the more you're going to be able to give to your child and your family and you and everything. That's so important. So yes, it is definitely a difficult thing. And I know for me, that's like, I could just keep working, and just keep working and keep writing and keep doing all these things. And then I realize I've gotten out of whack, and I'm like, I need people. I'm about to lose my mind. Like, I need to go interact with people. And so making sure that you don't get to that point, whether it's, a disabled child or anything like that, but making sure you're caring for yourself regularly, to make sure you're getting what you need, so that you don't get to the point where you've gone so far over that it's difficult to get out. Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Sarah, for bringing that up. The other point that I want to make about how to be a great best friend is really making sure that other friendships that you have that aren't like the best friend friendship, making sure that they go in their proper place. And that might sound kind of weird, but I think as women, we struggle with that. We want everyone to feel like they're needed and wanted and loved and all these things, but it's hard to make sure everybody gets what they need. Honestly, it's actually impossible. We can't meet that need for everyone. So not to say that you need to ignore these other people or anything like that, but making sure that that you are letting these people who are in your innermost safe circle know that that you do value them so highly, and giving them the time that they need and the time that you need to have with them, especially above other ones, maybe even toxic friendships, or ones that are in your more acquaintance outer circles. I don't know. And sometimes I struggle with that when it comes to, just when people have maybe moved into outer circles of friendship and I wasn't ready for that. So I might struggle with making the timing right, or I don't know. Just some thoughts I had about that. I don't know. Any thoughts on that, Amy? Am I crazy? I don't know.
No, you're right. This is a hard one. I don't have this one figured out. I mean, I highly value loyalty and just really, really fight for things. And so just kind of learning to like let go of stuff.
Yeah.
I think sometimes, because you said it earlier, that some friendships are just for a season.
Yeah.
And things change, circumstances change, people decide they don't want to be your friend anymore. It's just, there's a lot of different variables. And so just like being okay with where the friendship goes. And being okay with like, hey, sometimes I'm a really good friend and sometimes I'm not, and realizing that and learning and growing and not being too hard on yourself. And I think there's a point too where we have to make sure that our expectation for friends is high enough, that we value ourselves
Yeah.
to put
So true.
To put safe people around us and to have healthy relationships that help us to thrive in our lives, and people who build us up and encourage us, rather than doing the opposite. We have to respect ourselves enough to be able to
Yes.
make hard decisions in friendships sometimes, because they're just
Absolutely.
they're not helpful or beneficial or what's best.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I think also like realizing that it's so true as women, you know, we do have friendships so deeply, differently typically than men. We connect so deeply that when these friendships go sour, it literally feels like a divorce. And you have to give yourself the space to even grieve that. Mm-hmm. And that's normal and okay. And men might think you're crazy. And whatever, that's fine. They can think that. It's just how we are. Like, we just feel so deeply, typically, not everybody, but right. Typically. And so, you know, because when it's the hardest, I think, is when we thought a friendship was going to be like a forever friendship, and it turns out to just be a seasonal friendship. Mm-hmm. And man, you have to grieve that. Mm-hmm. Because you probably went super deep with this person. And so to know that that's done, like, is just gut wrenching.
Yeah.
You know, no one wants that. But then realizing that everything does happen for a reason, and that you're probably being protected, they're being protected. Who knows? They might just be in a different season. Like, it's fine. Right. But letting yourself have the space to grieve it, and then open yourself back up again when you're ready, to let somebody else into that space.
Right.
That's appropriate.
I think too that one thing you have to do when friendships end is take time to think about what was your responsibility and what wasn't, because there's going to be things that you need to own, that you need to like learn and grow, and then there's going to be things that are solely on the other person that you shouldn't own. You need to just like let roll right off, because that's not it's not something you're supposed to take responsibility for. And so I think taking the time to really filter those things is super important in moving forward, and in feeling okay and safe to then begin to pursue new friendships. Because it's hard when trust is broken. We get hurt, we're vulnerable, and people stomp all over us, and then we want to shut down and we want to sit at home and watch Netflix, you know. And so taking the time to own our stuff and not own somebody else's, it's helpful in moving forward.
And totally healthy, absolutely. And the last thing with, you know, how to be and find a best friend is really making sure that especially your closest friendships are not all about you. You know, really taking some time to listen and be active in helping your bestie as much as they impact your life. It definitely should be a give and take, but also like not keeping score with it either, because that's weird and awkward. But making sure that you know, I think it's okay to be walking through certain things where maybe the focus is on you, but then also making sure that you're checking in with them and saying like, hey, what do you need? You know, is there anything I'm not giving you right now? You know, it sounds a lot like a marriage, right? But but I think there's a lot of parallels.
Right.
You know?
It's an intentional relationship, you know?
Absolutely. Yeah, for sure. So Gail made a comment here about how she has some trust issues with women stemming from childhood. Amy, is there anything that you would like to comment about that?
Ooh,
I know, big one, right? Hey, Gail.
That's for next Monday. That's a whole video of its own.
Right.
Gosh, that's so hard. It's so hard when we put ourselves out there and people betray us, and whether that's in a you know, small way, big way, it doesn't matter. It hurts, and it makes us put up walls. So I'm trying to think of just some of my
Well, she has a second part of her question. She says, I guess the actual question, how do you make long-lasting friends when this is the case, when she's, broken up with all of them?
Okay.
Yeah.
So Gail, I don't know if you're still on with us or not. I'm not able to see who all is here, I don't think, but I guess my first question back to you would be, so you said you've broken up with all of them. And so I'm curious if something happened that made you decide to do that, or if you kind of just have like an internal deep fear that something might happen. And so you're trying to be proactive, which makes sense,
Right.
And so I think that, this is a hard one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead. Yeah.
Well, this happened to me, Gail. This happened to me, and it was really hard. And I'll tell you what I did. I had to kind of get rid of everybody, which it sounds like you kind of did. And then I had to take a really hard look at what was mine to own in it, because I can't really do anything about what they maybe did in that. But what I found when I looked at my situation, there were things that, weren't kind of cool that they did, but I found I was also attracting a certain type of friends because of my own junk that I was not dealing with. So I personally just had to take some time and do a little soul searching and figure out what kind of some different issues I had to deal with before I then let other people in, so I could make sure that the friendships that I went on with continuing, that they were healthy, at least on my end. And I found that from that moment, I started attracting a different type of friend. And I think a lot of it goes back to what Amy was talking about in the beginning, and really figuring it out, what you value in friends, what are different attributes, different things, because people are always going to hurt you. That's just going to happen. We're flawed. We are flawed humans. No friend is a perfect friend, but you're more able to extend grace and I think go deeper with people when you're clear about what it is that you want and need out of friendships, and what you have to even give in friendships, and making sure they're a good fit even before you end up giving your heart and getting so hurt. So I just want to encourage you, Gail, to maybe, you mentioned on here that they backstabbed or betrayed you. There isn't a whole lot that you can do about what other people choose to do, but maybe it would be helpful, and I don't know, because I don't know your situation, but it might be helpful to just take a minute and see if maybe the types of people that you were surrounding yourself with, if they maybe weren't a good fit to begin with, and maybe like figuring out what it is that you do want to have in this close friendship, and then seek out those types of people who might be different. And that doesn't mean it's always going to be perfect, but I think that's a good place to start. It worked for me. Yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
That made sense. I mean, who am I? Okay. I hope that was helpful, Gail. But so, we've taken up a lot of your morning, Amy, and everyone else. Thank you for having time with us. But this is something that's such a big subject, and so many of you message me about it all the time. And we're going to keep talking about it. Don't think this is the end of the story. Keep sending me your questions. Maybe Amy will come back on with us again. Maybe I'll have some different people on. It's more fun for me, I guess, when there's other friends on with me here.
Yeah.
But yeah, but definitely, let me know. Give us a comment here. How have you navigated your best friendships specifically as an adult? Share your tips of things that have worked out well, maybe, because we can all learn from it. And, or any questions that you might have, put some comments on here. Let us know. Maybe we'll have some other Mondays with Meg about it later. I also want to let you all know that next week I have another very special guest with me, my dear friend Danielle Alphonse from Be You and Thrive. And she also has the Practice of Living as We Intend podcast. She's going to be on with me, and we're going to be talking all about defining, aligning, and refining our I am, which is basically this process that she goes through of becoming all that you were intended. And I think it's going to be a super fun conversation. I think you will all like her a lot. But Amy, thank you for giving us a piece of your morning and working with us through all the technical difficulties.
It's Monday.
It's fine, right?
The computers knew it.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me on. This was really fun, and I'm glad we're friends.
Yay. Me too. Oh my gosh, so great. Well, I love you all so much. Have a fabulous week, and we'll see you back same day, same time, same place here next Monday. Okay. Love you all, guys. Bye-bye.
Bye.